Hello everyone, it's your Peacekeeper, and it's time for the next video in our How to Play series on the Pan-Asian Destroyer line. This is the Tier 5 Jianwei, and the Jianwei, I was not able to really find any information about the history or the design of this ship, so we're really kind of left with what Wargaming describes the ship as. And they basically say that it is the Project T306 destroyer design that was designed by the British for the Republic of China, or Taiwan, and it was never built. So the ship never actually existed, and quite honestly, I don't know if this ship has any real relation or tie to any destroyers that the British ended up building around the same time frame. It is kind of an interesting design, being in the late 1920s, but overall its playstyle really is not really all that unique. In fact, the gun layout is going to seem very familiar to people who have played through the Russian destroyer line, and we'll get a little bit more about that as we get to the how the ship plays. A little bit more in depth into how the ship plays anyway. We don't have any service history because the ship never actually existed, so we will go straight to that in-game playstyle. Jianwei doesn't change much from the preceding Shenyang with regards to torpedo and that stealth fire of torpedo window. You only have 400 meters at which you can actually launch your torpedoes from complete stealth, and in reality, that number is going to be a little bit longer if you are capable of anticipating when a ship is going to come into your torpedo circle on your minimap. And you can play around with that, and I know I've explained that before in the past, but we'll certainly cover it again in the battle video. And so, give or take a kilometer there or so, but from a parallel attack, you're looking at 6.4 kilometers as the max range at which they will travel. Now, the nice part about the torpedoes is that they are like what all of the high-tier torpedoes are going to be. 0.8 kilometer detection range, fast speed at 62 knots, and they do pack quite a bit of a punch at 16,700 damage, and that actually, when they do hit and when a ship does get into that range, it's quite a potent combination. It really does work out well. However, it is extremely difficult to get into that space often enough to really make them useful. So what I have found is that basically the torpedoes are really, really good at deterring ships from charging your smoke. And really this ship, though, where its real strength is at, if you can really call it one, is in its gunnery. And the ship has really good speed, really good maneuverability. It has pretty good guns, all things considered. You know, you've got a decent rate of fire, just kidding, at 8 seconds. However, they do pretty good damage and they got a pretty high fire chance. AP, it's alright. And it seems like the ship does more reliable damage than Shenyang did with its guns. And with the high speed, you can, speed tank kind of like a Soviet destroyer does when it's out gunboating at, the longer ranges. I'm sure if you had a dedicated captain on Jianwei, you could actually make for an interesting build with AFT and BFT on the ship to get the extra range and the better reload, but ultimately, I don't personally enjoy this ship at all. Now, I do think that this ship is where the Pan-Asian Destroyer line moves away from a torpedo-centric focus and moves more towards a gun-oriented focus. And we're going to see this in Fushun as well. And then it's going to kind of start to average out so that we have a little bit more of a balanced gun and torpedo approach as we get into the high-tier ships, much like the high-tier US and destroyers. And that's probably because the high-tier Pan-Asian destroyers are basically US destroyers. Of course, that Gajimata at Tier 7 is a British destroyer, but you've got Gleaves at the Hisin Yang, and then Chungmu is a Fletcher, and then Yoi Yang is now an M. Sumner. And you start to see a little bit more balance to the high tiers, but Jianwei does have pretty decent guns. All things considered, the Torps, if you have Concealment Expert on the Captain, are usable, but the ship overall isn't that much fun to play. In fact, I found it kind of frustrating to play, and that is at least part of the reason why I decided to take my break when I decided to take it. Alright, enough of talking about that, let's look at it in terms of stats. Jianwei has 12,500 hit points, 10 millimeters of armor, which I don't know why you would even bother putting it there. The main battery consists of 5 single 120mm guns. They have a 10.9 kilometer range, 8-second reload, 18-second 180-degree turn time, which is alright, 1700 HE shell damage, 8.5% fire chance, 2100 damage with AP. They have a pretty decent muzzle velocity at 814 meters per second, but the maximum dispersion at 90 meters is kind of large. It's really hard to reliably do damage to other destroyers with these guns. Cruisers, battleships, a little bit easier. Torpedo tubes. You have 2 triple torpedo tubes. They are 6.4 kilometer, 62 knot, 16,700 damage torpedoes. They have a 65.7 second reload time. That's going to be with torpedo armament expertise on your captain. And like I said, with Concealment Expert on the captain, you've got a 0.4 or 400 meter, 0.4 kilometer, 400 meter stealth firing range. A little bit more if you got ships coming towards you, but ultimately that's going to be the only way to effectively use these torpedoes from stealth, if you're not using them out of smoke. AA defense, really not worth mentioning. You only have 1 quad 40mm gun. There it is. Those are the British pom-pom guns back there. Max speed 37 knots. This thing will breach into the 40 knot range with speed boost on and the speed flag. Turning circle radius, 540 meters, 3.2 second rudder shift time, 6 kilometer detection range by sea, 2.9 by air. In terms of upgrades, I am running Main Armaments Mod 1 for the 20% reduction in your main battery and your torpedo tubes getting incapacitated, a 50% increase in their hit point pool, and a 20% reduction in the time it takes to repair them. Also, you can run Magazine Mod 1 for the 70% reduction in the chance of your ship's magazine getting detonated. This is basically like a free detonation flag. It won't stop them completely, but it'll do a pretty good job of minimizing your chances of getting detonated. In the second slot, I'm running Propulsion Systems Mod 1, which is a 20% reduction in the risk of your engine being incapacitated, as well as a 20% reduction in the time it takes to repair your engines. Steering gears Mod 1 is the same as Propulsion Systems Mod 1 except for your steering gears, and which one you choose really depends on which one you hate losing the most. Me personally, I hate losing my engines. I find that if I am crawling away with Last Stand on the captain like I have him set up at 12, 15 knots, I'm still a sitting duck as I can easily be overrun by ships that are shooting at me. However, I can deal with a 6, 7, 8 second rudder shift time in a destroyer. You're a small enough target that it's easy to get away. So for me, losing my engines is a bigger detriment. That's why I run Propulsion Systems Mod 1. In the third slot, you can see I'm running Aiming Systems Mod 1 for the 7% reduction in the main battery dispersion and the 20% increase to the torpedo tube traverse speed, so my torpedo tubes turn quicker. I really don't think that there's really any other viable options at this. We have one AA gun mount and it's next to useless, so adding more range to it is only going to make it slightly less useless. It's still not going to be enough. And our main battery traverse is plenty quick. I don't know that there's really any reason to take main battery mod 2. It's going to come with a 5% penalty to the reload time. You're going to reload 5% slower with this. Now, at 8.5 seconds, what's another 5%? Really not a whole lot, but at the end of the day, it does all add up. So for me, I'm running Aiming Systems Mod 1. The only other thing to really talk about on this is the smoke consumable. The smoke consumable is notable, as most of the Pan-Asian destroyers are, for the fact that each puff of smoke lasts 70 seconds, and your reload time from the time that it is no longer deploying is 80 seconds. So you can see that once you're done deploying smoke, your last smoke screen is going to only be 10 seconds away from you being able to deploy another smoke screen. So you can pretty much sit almost permanently in smoke with this ship if you wanted to. And you've got 5 charges of it without superintendent on the captain, but with premium consumables. So very good opportunity there to sit and smoke in Plink for a while if you wanted to. Alright, let's talk more about this in a battle video. Alright, so one of the other downsides to being a Tier 5 ship is that you will constantly be in Tier 7 matches, meaning you are almost always bottom tier, and the ship really doesn't do terribly well when up-tiered like that. The high concealment, I guess it's about average, but really this ship's strength is going to come when you can get into a battleship heavy match like this one. And you can see here the map is Haven. This is one of the better maps for destroyers in general. It's actually one of the better maps for just about every class of ship, except for maybe carriers. That's a different discussion for a different time, but I really do like this map a lot. It's pretty fair and balanced. Most of the action tends to happen in the B or just north of the C cap. Personally, I'm much more at home in the islands, so I almost always go towards the B cap. Just provides you plenty of opportunities to engage enemy ships while simultaneously being able to escape if need be, or at least break detection so that you can escape if need be. Up north, it's a lot more open waters. If you're in a battleship or a particularly tanky cruiser, have at it. But I don't know. Certainly not my first choice. I usually end up going towards the C cap later. So one other thing about Jianwei that really is not really all that good are the gun angles. You can see here the gun angles. You basically have to expose your broadside completely in order to bring all 5 of your guns to bear. That is one of the downsides to having all 5 guns. This gun configuration is matched on Minsk and Leningrad, if I'm remembering correctly. And so as a result, the ship tends to play like those with regards to using all of your guns. I've also heard that Aigle, the French destroyer, also suffers from a similar problem, but I honestly don't know. I've not played that ship. But I really, I don't know. This ship is it can be rough at times. Like I said, bringing all the guns to bear is difficult enough, but to make matters worse, the torpedoes can be nothing short of frustrating as well. And I found that using them from smoke or using them while ambushing out of an island generally gives you the best results. And beyond that, you've got 2 different options for how you want to play it. Like the ship will go 40 knots quite easily, provided you stop maneuvering all the time. It will go 40 knots quite easily, and so you can use the ship to kind of speed gunboat. And if you're a familiar Russian destroyer player, that is nothing unusual for you. So we are detected by a farragut, trying to bring our guns to bear here. We got 4 of them. You can see the dispersion, and we got ourselves 3, and we lopped off 1,600 damage. So 3 hits, 1,600 damage. It's about 500 per hit. It's a little bit over that. That's really not too shabby, all things considered. Our Aigle over there. Ooh, ouch. Gotta be careful with the Leon there. They have quite the stout main battery. One thing that I have noticed, we've got a second set of torpedoes in their triples. You know what that means? That could be a Fubuki or a Mutsuki. Yeah, it's definitely Mutsuki. One other thing to, Leon is going away, so there's no use in blowing the torpedoes. There's another ship on the other side of the smoke that I can't quite see, that I don't know what he is. Was hoping to maybe see if he would pop up, but alas, no. So when it comes to launching torpedoes at targets, you can see on the mini-map the circle of detection, that's that dashed line, and then you can see the torpedo range circle, that is the solid line at 6.4 kilometers. If you want to launch torpedoes at ships that are, further out than 6.4 kilometers, you're going to have to be able to judge when those ships are going to come within that circle. Okay, so we got ourselves a Cleveland here. Now, I know Clevelands, generally speaking, like to hover around islands, so we're going to launch a set basically right at the island, hoping that he'll kind of overshoot and we'll snag an extra torpedo. Anyway, back to launching torpedoes from further than 6.4 kilometers in the ship. You look at the mini-map and you look at the direction at which they're traveling. If it looks like they are going to travel through into your... Ooh, we might get one on that Cleveland. Might even get two, depending on what he does. Nope, we're going to get one. Oh, we got two. Excellent. So, when a ship is traveling through, you can see this Dunkirk is most definitely within our torpedo range. But before that, when he was traversing, woo, we're detected. Well, we'll pop our smoke. What's the worst that could happen? Might even be able to get this Gneiss now. When they are traveling, if you pay attention to the direction at which they are traveling, you can actually see where they're going to intersect your line. Now, of course, you've also got your aiming line that's in the middle of your gray spotting cone there. If you can, anticipate the torpedoes running out of range at the exact moment at which they cross into that circle, you can indeed actually launch torpedoes in such a way that you can hit targets from further than 6.4 kilometers out. And it's a tactic that you will eventually get used to. Well, this Gneiss now is, he's backing up hard and fast here. One thing to keep in mind is Gneiss now does have 6-kilometer torpedoes. He is just out of that range. Really not terribly concerned about that myself. We can't quite YOLO rush him because there is a Miyoko over there, but what's the worst that could happen if we jump out here and maybe try and get lucky, and maybe we'll get a torpedo off on him. The torpedoes on this ship do come up fairly quickly, so we can make use of that. Was hoping that maybe I'd get a launch off there, but no. The islands are not cooperating, and unfortunately our De Grasse is no longer. And things are looking to be a little shaky. So now we're going back to trying to launch torpedoes at our maximum range, trying to use our guns when we can, but not really getting too many options to really do that. So once again, looking at the minimap, it looks like you can see where the gray line is at in the spotting cone. You can see where the gray line is at for the torpedoes. It looks to me like he's going to cross into my torpedo range. And so that was that perfect example I was talking about, where if you get the right indications, you can launch at further than 6.4K out. However, this Gneiss now is particularly cheeky and goes full breaky and slams on the brakes. So we're not going to get anything from those. So we're just going to sit and we're going to use ourselves some HE, and we're going to try and get some fires. He burned his damage control party, so we know that if we get a fire, it's going to stick for a while, which is just damage for us. The question is whether or not we're actually going to get said fire. Does not appear to be the case. Sometimes that can be really frustrating. And like I said, this ship, sometimes you just have to work with what you've got. Now, paying attention to what's going on the other side of this island here, you can see we've got a Dunkirk chasing down a Normandy. We're going to launch those torpedoes in quick succession, hoping that maybe this Gneiss now will actually slow down again. He's got a history of slowing down and speeding up, but you can see he's already turning away, so I don't think we're going to get any hits. So there's our fire at least. At least we managed to get that. Maybe we can get a second one, since it's unlikely that he's going to turn and come towards us. In the meantime, we're going to try and get on the other side of this island here. Maybe find something else to shoot at. I don't know. certainly try and line ourselves up for a better attack on something, anything. Oh my goodness. So, at least, points-wise, we managed to flip the points. Boy, a little bit of camera messed up there. And we got the Gnevny there that we do need to be careful of. He will be able to outgun us. You can see our turrets do rotate pretty quickly. So we're gonna go away from him because I knew he was coming up. There he is. Gnevny is a particularly good destroyer for gunboating. It just requires a little bit of WASD on their part, and it can be a very, very good ship. And, well... managed to escape the fate of Notzering. And now it looks like we pretty much got their whole team. Oh, I lied. We didn't quite escape the fate. We did not, sir. The Gnevny is dead, though. That means that there's only one destroyer left. And he is nowhere near me, and I'm not detected. We got a Colorado over here. Our Eagle is chasing down the Lion. And, we're not in any real rush to get out of here. So maybe we'll just, consider our options. We've only got a handful of targets to really engage. But I'm starting to see a pattern here. Well, the Eagle goes down. The points are starting to even up a little bit. Makes me a little bit nervous. Up to 49,858 damage. We got a cap, a fire that gave us quite a decent amount of damage. But there is a Lion and a Normandy up there that we could definitely go and engage. And they have no cover from anything but other battleships. And we are pretty full health right now. So there's no reason we shouldn't be able to go up and charge up that way. Hopefully the rest of our team can kind of hang out and get some good old-fashioned kills on to help speed this on along a little bit. In the meantime, we've got a couple of different targets that we could engage. Lion, Normandy, and Gneisenau. Those ships are all on the table here. Our Colorado is serving as a very good distraction, but, well, we need to engage some stuff. We got a Miyoko over here that looks like he's backing up. He's nearly dead. Maybe get lucky and get a fire on him. We got an island here. 1,100 damage. We're detected by the battleships over there. Really not terribly concerned about them. As long as we just make sure that we, are paying some attention to them. Yeah, it's probably best that we don't go ahead and keep engaging. Last thing we want to do is give too much of a advanced warning of our impending attack up here. Gneisenau is running away. Lion is, well, he's coming right for us. He launches his attack there. So now we got a couple different options of which direction we could go. It just kind of depends. How lucky do you feel, punk? We're going to go off this way, because if nothing else, we're not going to get detected by the Normandy when we launch these. Lion, that's always a risk. Where is he? He's got to be here somewhere. Well, I guess not. So I think he's going to come through the middle of these two channels here. And that theory is going to be proven here. One way or another, we're going to find out. And it's a little bit of a guessing game, because you never truthfully can guess fully. Now, well, the tides have changed. Aha! There's the Lion. Now, the Lion is 6.5K and sailing away. Normandy is a little bit closer, and you can see we used the island there to really obscure ourselves there, right at the ragged edge of what we could get away with. So now we're going to go on the other side of this island here. I don't think the Normandy is going to run into those torpedoes. He's sailing away. He's 6.7K out, so we'll shoot at him. There's a Gneisenau over here somewhere. Whatever. 2 shell shatters. No damage. Well, maybe and I'm out of speed boost. If I had, a captain that had extra, the superintendent, I would be able to speed boost and really charge one of these guys down. And we didn't get any torpedoes. Go figure. 21 seconds remain on our torpedo tubes. Hey, what are we going to do here? We've got choices, and I'm building this up intentionally. Because Normandy, on the other side of the island, definitely going to detect us soon. There's the Lion. And... whoo, boy. He's trying to traverse his guns as best he can. And... whoo, ouch. Launch those short. His secondaries are going to town, but I don't think it's going to matter too much. These torpedoes move plenty quick. The one thing that I probably should worry about is where the heck, there's our Dev Strike, this Normandy is. Now we're up to 90,817 damage. Got that Dev Strike. Now, in hindsight, I probably should bail out of this to the south. We've got pretty good indicator that he's still on the cap, which means he's getting closer, right? Right. Oh, hey, there he is. Well, and down we go. Well, like I said, hindsight being what it is, if I had 6 more seconds, we would have definitely been able to successfully engage him. However, my actions definitely helped delay some of what others would call is a loss. This is not a loss currently. We have a Fuso that I don't know if he's just AFK or what, but he is not currently in this fight. I can't imagine our Lion and Farragut are doing terribly well. Yeah, I definitely think the Fuso was or is AFK. All they have to do is stay alive. That's all they have to do. So let's recap a little bit while the matches continue. Ouch, there goes the Farragut's hit points. Let's recap a little bit about what's going on here with regards to Jianwei. Jianwei's torpedoes, for what they are, they're okay. They are acceptable. I think their best use is definitely in ambushing, even though there is that little bit of a stealth fire window. It's very hard to use that window effectively because it's so easy for a ship to turn away as they're coming into that range that you just end up flat out missing them. And well, you know, that happens often enough to be a problem. Oop, down goes Mutsuki, and we win! So here's the in-battle screen. But the guns, the gunplay does work very well on this ship. So we finished with 91,939 damage, 1 kill, it was a Dev Strike, 1573 in base XP. And there you can see the fires and floods ended up doing a large bit of damage there. Overall, for Tier 5, the ship really isn't that much fun to play. It's not my favorite, I won't be keeping it around, but the grind is short enough that it's not a huge issue. Anyway, I'm your Peacekeeper. Like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for watching.